welcome to Egg Money Quilts. I'm Eleanor Burns. Times were hard in the 1930s, but folks always seemed to have food on the table, especially the ones that lived on a farm. Well, they raised pigs, goats, milk cows, and poultry. Now, the term poultry means domesticated birds used for the eggs or meat, including chickens, ducks, geese, and turkeys. Oh, there was a boom of turkey farming in the late 1930s and early 40s. Now, turkeys weren't just raised for Thanksgiving or Christmas. They were dinner year-round. The women cooked turkey in their favorite pot, the pressure cooker, that would cook the turkey up so fast they could get to their quilting. Well, this is the most common pattern, typically known as turkey tracks. It's an applique pattern made in 1935 by Gladys Bartley. It's a mountain mist pattern. It's pattern number 35, and Gladys quilted it exactly like this pattern. It's just amazing. Really great work she did. Now, this one. This is the second pattern, known as turkey tracks. It's a pieced one. Then this is the one that we're going to make today. There's 12 scrappy blocks with 3 fabrics in each block, plus a muslin background. Now, these triangles are set in. Teresa pieced this one. She wanted it to look like an old-fashioned quilt, and it does, especially with this green border. Well, I saw turkey footprints in the mud at my pond one day, and I can testify. The tracks look just like this block with 3 big toenails. Ooh, I had great fun. I even picked up some of their feathers. Well, this pattern was first known as wandering foot, which developed a superstition that anyone that slept under it would develop wanderlust and a tendency toward a discontented, unstable, roving disposition. Oh, they'd never settle down and never have a family. In an effort to dispel the curse and save the pattern, it was renamed Turkey Tracks. So just forget those superstitions. Let's make tracks to the sewing room. You are going to just gobble up this block. Here's our turkey tracks. It's just an old-fashioned pattern. It's known as wandering foot and Kansas troubles. Well, in this one, there's yellow, pink, and blue. We're going to use the same colors. Now, I love the way Amy quilted it with those nice curved lines around it. Now, in sampler 1, this is sampler 1, you only need to have one 12.5-inch block, and it's the very same thing in sampler 2. Even though the blocks are all different sizes, you just need to have one 12.5-inch turkey tracks. So let's just get to work. You are going to have a great time today because we're going to do something different. We are using templates. Boy, that's unusual for me, isn't it? Well, let me show you. There's just 2 different templates. This one right here, I'm calling it A, B, and background. Now, the A, this is the A, it's going to be right there. You need to have 4 of them. And then we'll just flip over, kind of mirror image, and you'll see this is B, and you also have 4 of those. And then the same template is used for the background. You have 8 backgrounds around the outside, so we're going to just layer cut for those too. Now, the second template is this one. This is that big old middle foot. I've seen those tracks in the mud, and they have just this one big toe right in the middle. It looks just like this. This one I'm calling template C. So let me show you how to mark them. I'd love to do layer cutting. Okay, A and B start out as 3-inch strips. They are 20 inches long, and I like to fold them right sides together, and you will see why in just a minute. Well, for A and B, I just need to have 20-inch pieces. And then for that background, because I have twice as many, I have a whole long strip, and they are all right sides together. Well, let me just take this one template. lay it right on here. Boy, you want to have the edges lined up perfectly so it all fits. Just line it up with the edge like this. Use a permanent marking pen. Now this one has a fat side and a little skinny side. Right now, I prefer the skinny side. Now it has straight lines and then curved lines on the end. And the reason I have it wrong side up is so that I can just take my pen, put it right in there, mark this little dot. Okay, take this, fold it the second time, place it the second time. Curved ends, you are going to love those curved ends. And then you can just layer cut, take your rotary cutter and your ruler and cut on the straight lines. Let me just go right through. Oh my gosh, got 6 layers there. That's good. And then I'm just going to turn around and go one more time. Line that up. Cut right through there. What a hunk to get rid of. And then on those curved edges that I showed you, I'm just going to pick up my scissors, cut those around. Just some little tips hanging out. You're going to love these little tips in a minute. Now, that's for A, B, and background. Template C is for that finger, and this time the strip is 3 1/4 inches wide. I have them also right sides together, and I marked so that I can have 2 sets. There's 4 altogether, and once again, I marked those little dots right through the template. All right, I am ready for sewing. I've already laid out some of my patches. This is that long C right here. This is the A, and this is what it's going to look like when it's finished. This is the B, all set to go. So you just take and flip this right sides together, and you see that curve right up there? Aha! See how that's just going to line up? And you stitch right down to that little dot and stop. Let's see how good I am today. Let me grab this up. Line up the curves at the top. Use your 1/4 inch foot and use a 1/4 inch seam. Hold that right in the beginning. Get started, pedal to the metal. Use needle down if you have it. And then whenever you get right up to that little dot, I see I'm coming right in there. And if you have a lock stitch, this works really well. If you just go lock right on that dot, and then that's where we're going to stop. Pull that out. Perfect. See how that's all lined up along there? So just take this and lay it down and finger press the seam so that it's behind A. That's 1/2. Okay, grab up this piece, and this is going to flip right sides together. This time you start right at that little dot and you sew right up to the end, and those curves all line together. Pretty amazing. Okay, let me use needle down right on that dot. You know, in the 1930s, that turkeys were almost extinct. You know, there were only 30,000 in the country. And then with some conservation programs and restoration, do you know now there are 7 million wild turkeys. And you know what? I think they all hang outside my sewing room. In fact, I hear them now. They're always out there. I just love to watch them. Okay, that's the one right here. You can see how that lines up. And all I need to do now is take the B, the background. That's going to go in like that. And this piece is going to go in like that. So now we're going to just flip this all up out of the way because we want to line it up with this spot right here. And I'm going to line up the bottom edge with that curve. I don't have a dot here, but you know, when you get really good at it, you can start just using pins or just use your eye. Let me lift my needle up, get this all lined up, and then I'll just sew right down along there. Okay, once you get it lined up, needle down, line up the opposite end, and just stitch that right along. I'm going really good. Now, I just love the males. They are just so noisy out there. Can you believe they actually have 5 5,000 to 6,000 feathers, and I see them out there pruning themselves and fanning their feathers for the females. It's great. Okay, there's the one piece. Let's look at this. It's lined up like this. I'm just going to take for the final step. Fold this right sides together. Keep everything else out of the way. Nothing's under there. I'm going to sew from the curved end and stop right a 1/4 inch away. Let's see if I can do this. I'm nearly together. Well, we have a hen on the property. Boy, we got into trouble because we named her Annabelle. As soon as you start naming wild pets, there's no way you can eat them. So anyhow, Annabelle was, I know she laid eggs on the property. Took her 28 days to hatch those little chicks. And then we saw them following her around. There. Does that look good? That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Let me show you one that's all finished. Looks like this. And the seams are just pressed away from that C. And so it lays perfectly flat. Let me get all of my quarters done. I have a couple more quarters to do in the pink color, and then I'll show you how to sew the block together. We are right on track with this. Now take a close look at what the block looks like. Right here, the seams go right out to the corners. You've got that curved edge there. This matches right here and here. And then on the other side, you've got that curved outside edge. Well, believe it or not, you can turn these feet around in several different directions. This is the first one. This is rather arty, I think. Now, how about let's just go like this and turn the two yellows out like this and turn the two pinks in. You've got another design that you might want to try, or just take all of them and turn that dark color in towards the center. Well, this is the one that I want to take and sew together. I really like this one, and this is going to be amazing if I get that center all matched up. So just take the piece on the right and flip it over to the left, and when you do that, then your seams just will line up right here, and I'm going to sew straight down. Let's see how I can do this. Okay, get those seams lined up right in the outside edges. Still that 1/4 inch seam. I have this most unique trick that I want to show you so that it just lays really flat in the center. Okay, I'm going to just open this up, peel it, check it, make sure I've got it exactly how I want it. Use my stiletto to just hold those pieces flat. Now comes the next one, and I like to just roll it back, look at it, roll it in there. Gosh, if you want to use pins, that's okay with me. And then just line it up on the opposite side. Hold it flat with a stiletto. You know, the amazing thing about those turkeys, do you know that they can run about 25 miles an hour? Oh my gosh, I've tried to chase them around. I believe that. And they can fly up to 55 miles an hour. That is pretty fast if you ask me. Okay, just open it up, look at it. Ooh, looking good right there. Now I just want to take these two halves, flip them right sides together, and at this seam, I'm going to push the top seam up and the underneath seam down and just hold it. And if you look, you can see what you're going to just stitch right through. So let's give it one more try. We're doing good. But you know, if it doesn't line up perfect in the center, that's what yo-yos are for. You just need a yo-yo, or you need a big old button right there. Or just take it from me, you know, if it doesn't line up, just be like the turkeys. Hang it on your door, drive past it 25 miles an hour. If it looks good, it looks good. Okay, so I'm going to hold that seam flat going up, and right here, I'm going to match at the bottom. Now, this is a really neat trick so that it lays flat. Okay, right there, went across on that side. Looking good. Do I dare look on the inside? I think I'll look first. See if I can. Oh, this is a pretty good one. No yo-yo needed here. Okay, now I'm just going to take my seam ripper and just pick out that connecting stitch and take about 3 stitches that were the straight up and down stitches. And then on the other side, repeat that step. Just take out those stitches that were straight up and down. And then lay the block flat, and you can swirl these seams right around the center. I'm pressing down, around. I'm going clockwise like this, and right in that very center, I'm opening that up, and I'm just going to mush it right in the center so that it lays nice and flat. And now we'll look at it from the right side. I think that is a darn good turkey tracks block. Well, I'm going to make 2 extra ones and show you how to turn it into a sweatshirt. The turkey track block is just perfect for pockets on this sweatshirt jacket. Well, I wear it when I chase turkeys. I don't know, at 25 miles an hour, maybe. Well, start out with 2 extra quarters for your turkey track block. Right here, I have 2 of them made. All you need to do is line them with a piece that's exactly the same size, and the piece should be around 6.5 inches. So just sew around the outside edge, leave this opening right in the middle of one side so that you can just turn it right side out, and you'll have pockets in a jiffy. Let me just poke out those corners, and then you just sew those right in place on your jacket. Well, the cuff is lots of fun. Now see how I have it wrapped around with buttons, spare buttons. Actually, the buttons don't even match. All you have to do is just take a sweatshirt, cut off that cuff. That's fast and easy. Then take a piece of fabric that is 3 3/4 inches by 10.5 inches. Fold it right sides together and then stitch the ends. Turn it right side out. Now measure this cuff against the opening in your sweatshirt, because you might need to just run a basting stitch right around the bottom of that cuff just to draw it up. And then you pin it in place around the outside edge, and then just stitch in a circle. Well, I did the other side. This is what it looks like. Just stitch like that, and then I did a zigzag stitch just so that I could go ahead and finish off those edges. Well, now there's no turning back on this sweatshirt. We already have the cuff in place. Okay, the next thing that you want to do is just cut off the bottom. And that way you're getting rid of that tucked in finish. Oh, nice big old scissors. Boy, you don't see me using scissors too often, huh? Cut off the bottom, get rid of that. Now I already found the center of the sweatshirt, and I marked it with chalk. And so you can mark it with chalk just so you're safe, or if you want to go ahead, just fold it in half and cut right down the center. This is going good. So we've got it so you can open it up. Now, the trim around the outside edge is a bias strip. It's a 2-inch wide bias strip. Let me show you this. This is what it is. It's cut on the bias, and I did it with a stripe so it'd be even sharper. Now you sew this on by machine. It is a 2-step, and you just curve around that very bottom. Let me show you. Just start right down at the bottom and place the raw edge next to the raw edge of the sweatshirt. Use a 1/4-inch seam and just sew right around there. Oh my gosh, am I getting warm in this sweatshirt. So just as you go around here, just curve like this, and you can just kind of flatten it out as you go right around the edge. And you're just going to go right up the front and around the neckline like this, across the top of the neck, and then down the other side. And then you'll meet. When it comes back to the bottom, you overlap it in the end. Let me see, I think I've gone far enough so I can show you how this looks. Now, once you've gone the whole way around, let me just trim off this corner for you and get rid of that. And then to actually do this by machine, you roll the binding around and you pin it from the back side. You actually cover that row of stitching right along here, and then take pins and pin it in place. And from the right side then, you can stitch in the ditch. Let me just show you that. A couple of pins, looking good. I've really had a good time making these sweatshirts. I made this sweatshirt for myself, and then I made one for Sue too. Now, Sue loves orange. Well, I started off with the pink because I love pink. But then she went and picked out the pockets. So you can see how that looks. She has a little check on the front of hers and a little bit of orange, pink, green, every color you can imagine in that pocket. Okay, I pinned this around. Now let me show you from the right side. All you have to do is just stitch in the ditch. Let me lay this flat along here and put your needle in right here where the seam is. Stitch in the ditch, and then you won't have to sew this whole binding down by hand. I like that idea. Now just make enough bias binding to go the whole way around the sweatshirt, and that's how it looks. You can see the stitching from the front side, and then you just catch it from the wrong side. Well, to finish it off, you need to have a little loop right up here, and it's easy to do. It's just a 1.5 inch by 6 inch piece of bias that I turned right side out, looped it around like that, and covered the ends with buttons. Oh, go in your button box and get all kinds of things. A little embellishment with a pin. It's great fun to wear. So don't you be a chicken. Don't you be afraid to try that template piecing. You get your turkey tracks block done. This is Drumstick and her husband Tom. Now, neither one of these will be Thanksgiving dinner this year. But every Thanksgiving morning, you will find me in the kitchen preparing the turkey. Oh, and not you guys, aren't you lucky? Well, I love to cook. That's not the problem. The problem is, which apron should I wear? Now, this one looks like the turkey's. What do you think? Does this look like you guys? This one is very slenderizing. You could even wear this, Drumstick. Well, appropriate for egg money quilts, the stitching on this apron is called chicken scratch. Oh, I just love the gingham, and chicken scratch really dresses it up. I have another apron. Here's a piece of gingham marked with a chicken and a rooster. You know, it's like cross-stitch by number apron. The waistband is even included. You know, I really have to sit down and finish one. Oh, there's just so many great apron stories tied to the family. From the time children are little until they grow up, there are apron stories like this one. The expression, tied to your mother's apron strings, stems from an old practice of literally tying unruly children to their mother's apron. Now, I like this one. When I was little, I would hide under my mother's apron. That sounds like a safe spot, huh? This is a good one. As kids finished high school and they got ready to leave, Mom gave each of them an apron with the strings cut off. Good rule. Don't marry a man who's tied to his mother's apron strings. Boy, that is a given. You know, I think she would be a matronly mother in charge, and she would probably wear a big old coverall like this one. Poor guy. How about this one? Oh my gosh. It sounds really henpecked. A St. Louis woman with all her diamond rings pulled him around by his apron strings. Now, did you know that true blue originated from preachers unfurling and spreading a blue apron before they began practicing the truth? Well, this apron looks like it's right out of Mom's Diner. So you're going to be in Mom's Diner soon, huh there, Tom? Well, in Grant Wood's famous 1930 painting, American Gothic, it shows a farm couple with the wife wearing an apron trimmed with rickrack. Well, this apron may be the first time rickrack was shown in fine art. I do like the rickrack on this one. It's interesting because the maker overcast stitches over the rickrack for a unique design. Well, aprons are so American. They're like picket fences and apple pie. Although they are now seldom worn, aprons remain forever.